Now, South African maize crops face the threat of infestation from the fall armyworm that has already wreaked havoc in Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, Zambia and Zimbabwe. The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries has received a diagnostic report from the Agricultural Research Council Plant Protection Research Institute to confirm that the fall armyworm was positively identified from samples collected in the Limpopo Province. For more on this, we're joined by Agbe's economist, Wandile Slobo, from our Pretoria studio. Wandile, good afternoon, and thanks very much for coming through. Wandile, thank you for joining us. What is this worm?
Thanks for having me. I mean, what this has been already started off a couple of weeks back, but it's good that has been identified now, because what it means basically that the farmers now can at least go and look for pesticides that will be able to assist them in dealing with this. Of course, it's not an African pest. It's coming up from South America, and then it flew on and got to African countries. And from Zimbabwe, it went on then to the Limpopo Province, and that's what we are currently seeing. But what I can flag out, though, is that it's not yet a national crisis in South Africa. It is in isolated areas. And right now that we've identified it positively, it will enable us to be able to control it within those particular regions.
Wandile, could you tell us where in South Africa it is currently prevalent?
No, it's currently prevalent, particularly in Limpopo, and it is also in certain areas of our Free State and also within the Northwest Province. But all of those areas, it's not really in much of a critical stages. It's really in isolated areas. I think that now that we know what it is, we will be looking on to see the application of the pesticides as to whether they lead to a little bit of improvement or we will be facing some resistance.
What does this mean for the agricultural sector?
Right now, I didn't get actually clear your question, but when you're looking on at the agricultural sector, at the conditions right now, it's looking fairly well. And I mean, at the Agbi's side, for example, we forecast South Africa's maize crop to be at levels around about 11.9 million tons, which is a significant improvement from last year's 7.5 million tons. So even though there is an armyworm, it's still pretty much at the limited areas, and we're still positive for this year's crop.
The first thing that comes to mind right now is what this means to our pockets. What does it mean for the food prices, as well as what it means to the sector itself in terms of what they can expect in terms of income? No,
I mean, as per the consumer side and the consumer inflation, I would say it's still too early at this time to be concerned. It's good that we've detected it, and now we should just be on the lookout. Because, for example, if you look at the maize price or the futures price, they're pretty much around about 50% lower than what they were last year. And given the expectations of a good crop that we were forecasting for this season, I think that we are in for pretty much at least at a better year. But, of course, for consumers to benefit at any lower maize prices of some sort, it will only be around the third quarter of this year, because all of this is still on the ground at the flowering stage at the moment, and we'll watch and see how the season progresses. But certainly we are in for a better year than the previous year. And you look at the food inflation, for example, on our side at Agbi's, we believe that it will be at least at the ranges around between 7 to 9% on a year-on-year basis, comparing to a 12% level that we're currently in at the moment.
And for consumers, what does this mean for consumers?
For consumers, at this point, there is no threat looking on at the current armyworm. Like I said, the maize prices are still fairly low. If in an event that we could fail to control it, then consumers could start to be concerned. At this point, we're happy that it has been detected fairly early, and then as the applications of the pesticides gets to be sprayed on, we will monitor those developments and really see what the developments will be on the crop. But I can say that South African scientists are on top of it, and we are confident that they will be able to pretty much control this. So for consumers, it's really to look at it and monitor and see what developments are. But looking at it as we're currently speaking today, it's still pretty much at isolated and minimal stages. And for consumers, there is no immediate threat.
Wandile, thank you so much for that information. I do believe that this preemptive measures that you are putting in place will help us to avoid a complete outbreak. Thank you very much, Wandile Sihlobo. We had Wandile Sihlobo speaking to us from our Pretoria studios about the fall armyworm that has wreaked havoc across SADC, but is only just showing its ugly head in South Africa. Consumers need not worry, because it seems to be under control.